In this video, I explain what happens after you file for any sort of immigration request and the time it takes to move through the different processes. Basically, we're talking about green card processes, okay? There's a lot of different types of immigration processes that are similar, but more specifically, green card processes typically follow this approach, okay? So one, you file the application with the appropriate office for USCIS, okay? So then what happens is in about 3 to 4 weeks, and this has been changing quite a bit over the last year. So between 3 and 4 weeks, you can expect to get a receipt notice of the filing for your request for whatever it is, okay? In this case, immigration request for a green card for the spouse or family member of a U.S. citizen, okay? So 3 to 4 weeks is what it takes. So what happens after that? So the notice is first, then what they do is they send a biometrics appointment notification for those who are gonna do their green card inside the United States. So that's been coming anywhere between 3 and 5 weeks after the initial submission of the request for the immigration process to start, okay? So they give you the receipt notice, and sometimes a couple weeks later, they give you the biometrics appointment notice. Biometrics, again, is your picture, your fingerprints, and basically you checking in to show your credentials that you are the person who is going through the process. So we're talking about beneficiaries here. We're not talking about sponsors. We're talking about the people who are gonna go through the green card process and eventually have the interview, okay? So that's about 3 to 5 weeks after you file the request. So then what happens? Well, in most cases, most of my cases, what happens next is that you get a notice for the interview, okay? But for some people, they get a request for evidence, the RFE. So the request for evidence, I mean, this could come anywhere between, I would say, 2 months and 8 months to get a notification of a request for evidence. The request for evidence generally gives you 80 days to respond to all the stuff that they're asking for in the RFE, okay? So you have to respond exactly on point to every single thing they ask for in there. If you can't, then you may have a problem, okay? But they usually give about 80 days, could be 87 days, to respond to the request for evidence, okay? So don't delay, don't take your sweet time, do it as quickly as possible, do it accurately and correctly, but do not wait, because if you miss that deadline, your case is probably gonna be denied and your case is gonna be closed, which means you're gonna have to file from scratch again, okay? So if you do not get the request for evidence, the next thing you're going to be getting is that interview notice. That interview notice, I mean, it's all over the place. It's like hot potato right now with the different offices and who's going to be taking the lead, whether they're going to transfer your case and all that stuff. So take a look at some of my other videos where I talk about how to figure out where your case is in the process. There's ways of going online and checking that stuff out. So take a look at those tutorials so that you know how to do it. Or if you're a client of ours, give us a call and we will help you figure that out. The bottom line is the interview can take up to a year, sometimes a year and a half before they schedule it. And again, it depends on what the process is. But if we're talking about green cards, you're talking about husband and wife having to go to the interview. It could be up to a year and a half or even longer, depending on what's going on with immigration and the backlog, the politics. Everything comes down to what is going on right now, not what was going on 2 months ago or what's going to happen in the future. It's right now, how quickly they're processing. Whether you did have an RFE, request for evidence, is also going to be very important as far as the timeline in scheduling your interview, because if you didn't answer it in time or you didn't provide the right information, then your case could be delayed even longer. You could get several requests for evidence. You can get a notice of an intent to deny, so NOID, N-O-I-D. A lot of things can change that timeline. It doesn't usually happen for my cases because I know how to do it the right way. So that just gives you an idea of what's coming down the line, what you can expect. If you have more specific questions, if you're a client or not, you can always reach out to me, schedule a consultation, and I would be happy to help you figure out what's going on and to give you an idea of what is coming down the line for you. So reach out to me. I would love to help you succeed with your process. You just have to reach out.